All right, so I wanted to go ahead and quickly do a one-shot video thing, so you could see it and look at it if you needed to. So I'm going to come down here and delete a few of these tracks. I'm not going to need them, so I'll remove track down to 2 tracks. I'm just going to have one image track and one audio track, and then I have some renderings and a few things that I did over here. So if I drag those guys in, it's going to ask me if I want to import them as a sequence, and I don't want to, so I'll just say no. And then it'll bring that in. I'll bring in, I have a couple of renderings I guess I could use, maybe. I'll pull that one in. No. And then maybe this one, right? No. And then finally, I'll pull in, I think I've got a couple of videos. I don't know if I'll use them or not, but I'll drag them in, right? There. Okay. And then the last thing, I guess I'll bring in like an audio clip. So if I come in and pull in one audio clip, right? So that guy will be in there. Um, and so you just get all of your, so to speak, clips in a row. Um, and then what you can do is start dragging them down. So if you know that this is the order that you want them in, you could actually just come in and I'll just drag this guy down to track 2. We kind of talked about sort of the size of these things. So if you want this guy to be shorter, um, right now my properties is not showing, so let me turn those on. So I'll just go into my view and or this docs and properties. So it'll dock my properties out there. Um, and you can see that this guy, it brings it in at 10 seconds, and that's pretty long. So I'm just going to change them to 6 when I bring them in. So I'll do that. I'm going to pause while I bring them all in and change them to 6, but really don't want it to be too long. So I'm just pulling these guys in, the ones I think I'm going to use. And I'll change them all to 6 just by clicking on them and going to 6 here. So I'll do that for each one of those guys. And then once I've got them all to 6, I'll just kind of, if you drag them, they want to find the end of the other one. So I'm just going to stack them right up next to each other. And then my timeline's pretty big right now. Like I have 3 minutes and I don't really need it. So what you can do is take this little blue thing and drag it to where this is. And so you can kind of see, if I take this scrubber, there's my first one, there's my second one, there's my third one, there's my fourth one, there's my fifth one. And then I have a couple of renderings, right? So maybe I want to have, maybe I want to have the rendering at the beginning and the end. So I'm going to move all these down a little bit, and then I'll take this and copy it, and then paste it here and move it. And then I'll just take all these guys. So I kind of have a bookend, right? It's kind of up to you how you want to do this. And then I've got all of these kind of sitting here. Now, the next thing you want to do is take these guys and overlap them. So let's say I want to overlap them about 2 seconds. It doesn't have to be exact. Again, as I move this over, you can see, and I pick it, you'll see it's at 6 inches duration, and then the position is at 3.97. If it doesn't bother you that little bit, you can just sort of overlap these about 2 seconds and just let them sit, and they're going to make these little fades, right? And so if I move them all over each other, they're just going to fade in and out, right? And so maybe this one goes in front, right? And look, notice that I'm up to 24 seconds. So and then this one's at the end, and maybe I'll pull in an animation at the end, this sun study, and I'll pull that guy in. And how long is this guy? This guy's 9 seconds, so maybe I go ahead and make it 6 seconds as well, right? And click on this. And what I want to do is, let me pull this in here. I think I can set this, and if I go to freeze, it will freeze that. Let's do it for 2 seconds. Let's see. Yeah. And so I think it'll freeze that clip for 2 seconds, so I can kind of overlap it with this one, but we'll see how that works. Okay. So now I've got that overlap, and then just on the beginning and end ones, I'm going to right click on them and go to fade, end of clip for this one. I'll fade out slow, and then I'll pick this one and right click and go to fade, start of clip, fade in slow, right? So it's going to fade in and fade out. And then I'll come down and drag my Urban Lullaby down into the bottom, right click on it and do the fade at the start of the clip, fade in slow. So it's going to go from 0 to there. And then I'm going to take my scrubber and move it to the end here of my visual clip, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm selected on Urban Lullaby, and I'm going to pick this little razor tool and I'm going to clip it right there, and it's going to clip that Urban Lullaby, and then just turn off the razor tool, I select it again, and then I'm just going to delete this. And you can always just sort of elongate, if you accidentally cut it short, you can kind of elongate it to there. And then I'll right click on this and go to fade, end of clip, fade out slow. Oh, actually, volume is what I want to do. End of clip, fade out slow. And then this guy I can delete. Whoops, no. Let's just do this. And volume, start of clip, fade in slow. Right? All right. And so there's that guy. So now if I come in here and play this, I mean, maybe you want to have another image at the end, you know? I don't know if ending on that sun study is the best, but that's it. All right. Oh, and then finally, you would come up here and export it. So if I export the video, right, it will bring up a dialog box. And I would come to this pull down here, and up at the top, you're going to find, you want to find the 30 frames per second, 1920 by 1080, right? And just go ahead and pick that guy. And then, of course, you're going to want to name it my final video, and then browse and tell it where you want it to go. So I'll send it to my desktop. Oops. Let's do it in render test, right? And then export video, and it's just going to compile all of that. And you can save this, right? Right, you save this as a file and it'll open it all back up. It needs to be able to find the clips, so make sure you keep the clips in the same place. The other thing that you could do is if you re-render something, you know, you find that you don't like it and you want to re-render it, but it's basically the same image. You can actually come into these guys and right click on them. And if you import a file from here and you go get another file, it'll replace that one and replace it in here if it's the same name. So that actually works pretty well too.